Hello guys. I hope you all are doing well. This is the 5th of December 2025. Wanted to share with you a few things on what I did today, but just take into consideration that anything that I'm going to be talking about in this video is not a financial advice. It's just the way how exactly I do look at the market and the way how exactly I do trade the market. Um, this is just like some educational video that I hope it's gonna bring for you some benefits when it's coming to trading. I'm gonna cover for you today most of the trades that we traded it this week, and the reason behind me covering it, it's just to put you like somehow in some kind of clear formation on where exactly, like, let's say I do really like to do business when it's coming to the price and how exactly we are looking for things. The most important thing before discussing, like, let's say the trades, is just to remind you all that by the end, like when you are trading the market, you want really to focus on grabbing part of the move. Like you don't want really to focus on catching the full move, but you want, like, let's say to catch part of the moves. Remember also that when it's coming to the market, just by looking at the environment of the market usually it's like, ranging, trending to the upper side, trending to the downside. Usually, like, let's say when you do have, like, let's say this kind of an opportunity, you would be looking for some kind of swing trades, and it will be looking in a way or another, when the reversal it's gonna start, which means that, as an example, the price is trending to the upper side, it reached the max extension, then you will see it doing whatever kind of things, and then, as an example, it will start reversing. And the same thing when it's coming to the downside, you would like really to play some kind of reversals once it's going to base out, and maybe you're going to start looking for some kind of swings. But the whole point when we are looking at these kind of plays, when we identify, like, let's say that maybe, like, we do have, like, let's say a trend that it's been dropping to the downside, usually you will get some kind of a base up where exactly the price is going to start ranging. And maybe after that, some kind of a deviation, then maybe, as an example, you start forming a range, and yeah, maybe you start like shifting to the upper side, and then something like this would play out. You will see that in this play, that, like, let's say it's more of a range. Still, this is like more of a bigger range, and then ping pong between up and down, and then after that the price is going to start shifting, might give you some kind of a reversals. Then this is where exactly the trend is going to start to the upper side. Same thing that it's here. This might be a decent opportunity where you start looking for some kind of swings. Till that it's gonna happen, like, it's really hard to just look when the price is just trending to the downside. It's really hard for you to think about, like, oh, let me just look into every single possibility or every single sweep of a liquidity or something like this. Start looking into some major reversals. It doesn't make sense. So that's why it's, for me, like, let's say when the price is not really giving me these kind of signs for swings, then that time I do prefer, like, let's say, to play some kind of weekly trades, Um, intraday, intra-week. I would prefer usually the intra-week, and upon that, like, I would like to get into this kind of business. So the price is just like, again, trending to the downside. Will it really continue still to the for me? These are not like reversal signs. This is more of like the price just started shopping around. Still, there is a decent opportunity. We might come to take the lows. There is also another opportunity that we might just to start covering these areas. Remember, when we are trending to the downside, we might start ranging, and we might start moving to the upper side, come back, come here, later on, come back to the lower levels. It's possible, and nothing really is happening. Sometimes you might continue with the trend, sometimes you might just come, deviate, sweep the lows, start reversing. Everything is possible for the price. But we want really, like, let's say, to get into the best opportunities when it's coming to the trades. This week, honestly, we didn't really, like, let's say, trade that much on crypto. For me, the play was simple when it's coming, like, let's say, to Asia high, Asia low, when it's coming to the market, when exactly it's starting. For me, usually on Monday, we just wait for Asia high, Asia low of Monday, like, let's say, to fall. And it started from here. Asia kept dropping to the downside. As one of the tips that I gave it to you before, when it's coming, like, let's say, to um, some kind of observation. I would really like, in general, to see Asia dropping the price on Monday. I would really like to see such a behavior. For me, such a behavior, it means, like, it puts more probabilities for the price to reverse at some stage during the week. Now, you need to understand that for me, like, let's say we didn't play that much, like, let's say on crypto, because for me, the move, it's already, like, let's say, still trending to the downside, and the range was a little bit too big for me to trade it. So if I'm going to be looking in some kind of a trades, I would be just, looking into the price maybe to come and just to trade around the mid range of Asia at some stage, which this would be the play. And then if an acceptance above it, then we continue to the upper side. But my main areas of doing the business, it will always be here, this area. But what I do really like to see it's mainly the sweep of the area. Now, the sweep of the area for me here, when we swept, and mainly this was a sweep, assuming that you played this and you just maybe got stopped out into this, then next day into Tuesday, price started coming back, actually into Monday itself, started coming back, didn't really want to go under the level. Into Monday, they started recovering and they started coming into the range one more time, basing out here into some kind of a nice structure as the price, like, let's say it's moving, and then just started shifting, and you traded again to toward, like, let's say, Asia high, acceptance above Asia high, kept giving you some moves to the upper side. Now again shifted into the end of the week, which is that's absolutely normal for such, like, let's say, a price action and the behavior, and that's why we avoid trading in general on Friday. With Friday, just we look at the price. So if in case, like, let's say this would be the kind of a trade that you would be looking at it, you will be looking into literally this kind of setups. Now, why I would hate, like, really talking about, like, let's say, price after it happened. It's just because it's useless. Like, just give me where exactly it will play. But I'm just trying to tell you here that this is literally the area that I would like really to do business in it. Um, the point from here for me, like, let's say that the price can do multiple things when it's coming, like, let's say, to Asia high, Asia low of money. That sometimes the price can do the following, where, as an example, in Asia high, and let's assume, by the way, that the momentum it's to the upside and the momentum it's strong to the upper side, which is we're going to cover, like, let's say, a few of the assets where it was triggering for me, like, some moves to the upper side. And you would see, like, let's say that at some stage, maybe early into the week, you might get some kind of a behavior where Asia, it's formed as an Asia high, Asia low. And then at some stage, London or maybe even New York, they sweep, the price is shifting and dropping. And then later on during the week, it's going to start getting the reversal. You started holding above the mid range. And then from here, you started shifting and trading toward the end of the week toward higher levels. That also could be a very, very, very decent opportunity, for the price to do something like this. But what I would really like to do a business in it, it's here on the sweep of these levels. And also, if in case the momentum is to the upper side and we still have time for the week still to play, then I would like really to see some kind of price action at around these levels. So that's mainly, the major play that I would really like to look at it. It's literally sitting into these kind of areas. That's mainly the setups that I would really like to get involved in it when it's coming to the business. So from here, for me, when I'm looking at the price, I do identify the areas that I want to do business in. This is the area, this is the area, and this is the area. Now, the more that you dig deeper into momentum, the more that you dig deeper into, like, let's say, the price, it's just gonna put you in a place where, I'm just trading intra-week trades. I'm trading intra-week trades because the price is not offering for me swings. And if there is no swing opportunity that I'm going to be able to capture it, it's going to put you in some kind of scenarios that you might really struggle a little bit into trading. So if, as like I assume that as an example, I learned this and price traded above Asia high, we reached, like, let's say, toward Thursday or Friday. I didn't bank the profit. Oh, that's what happened to your trade. Why? So for me, to identify the area and to identify the type of price action, I wouldn't really round trip my profits. I would just bank it. The trade did for me 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 1 to 3 risk to reward. It doesn't matter You just finished your week and you just relax and you didn't do anything. You just like bank the profit and, as we call it, happy days. So that's the whole thing. When I'm looking at these kind of plays, this is like, let's say, what I would be looking at it. And yeah, you remember, like, let's say 2 weeks ago, I was talking about, like, let's say, these levels of liquidity, that for me, sweeping these levels of liquidity, it's gonna puts me in a place that, yeah, I could be interested in the shorts. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't short because I'm still looking like still for higher levels. Now, how the price could play, we will see by next week. But there is also still like a decent opportunity that the price can do something like this, still trade this area, still reject from here, and then start rolling to the downside. It's still, by the way, on the table to see something like this. But we will cover this by next week because I just wanted to like really to clear how exactly we would play out things. Now, few of the plays that, as an example, it played with us really beautifully. It was that recently I'm focusing on some kind of a plays when it's coming, like, let's say, to the setups. Covered for you. Um, I covered for you um, JPY USD. If you guys remember on the last on the last video, and you will find that simply when we are looking at this was AG low, this was AG high, that we printed it at around these levels, and simply the trade that we traded just as an intra day trade on the break above this area, and we started moving to the upper side. We just like traded just this kind of a breakout trade on Monday, which is if the price is going to trade and get an acceptance above AG high on Monday, then we just go with it, like, let's say, for whatever it's going to give us. But you need just to take it into consideration to be as an intra day trade. Um, but the play after that, for me, it was like we let the price come back to the downside. You swept Asia low of Monday. You started getting the acceptance above mid of the range. And this is where exactly we executed the trade. So the trade for us, it was from exactly this area. The stop losses, it's not going to even come at this stage because I'm trading above the mid of the range. And we traded literally to this area as a play. We bagged most of the profits, and we will see. I'm still expecting this still to give us, like, let's say, more moves to the upper side, but as the momentum is still not confirmed fully on a daily and a weekly time frame for a complete reversal, there is still a decent opportunity that this might even roll down, sweep this area, base out here, then start shifting to the upper side. Then fine, we will get, like, let's say, another setup and another entry by that time. The other trades that also we traded it was gold. We played like really. It wasn't the best in terms of intraday. For us, when it's coming to this, we had like a little bit of small struggles. Usually, like, let's say the week it moves in a better way. I think maybe we banked something around like 2.5 R in this week. Two trades that they were winning, two trades that they were losing, but fine. But as an intra-week trade, it played like really in a beautiful way. The trade is just like a normal into Asia. You print Asia high, Asia low, the sweeps, the rejection from this area. You didn't sweep Asia low from before. You traded and you see within this period where exactly it's going to play. I honestly was expecting gold to trade toward lower levels. The play, honestly, as a weekly setups and as a weekly direction for what I was expecting on gold, where the play was that I would like really to see gold trading to lower levels. And mainly I wanted, like, let's say, the 180, 170 region, and then later on to start seeing the price, toward the end of the week, just like, to come and to start trading to the upper side one more time. But this was literally the trade. And you can see by the end, like, really what happened. We again rejected from here. But for me, as this trade played out, done. Like, I'm not really in a need, like, let's say, to wait for the price that, like, oh, let me flip it to swing. First of all, I'm shorting while the momentum in general it's to the upper side. Now, if it's going to shift to the downside, that's a total different story. We will know it by next week, and we will see. Because the price is still on gold, it's still hovering on one specific level, the monthly open, up and down, up and down, up and down. This is your monthly open on gold. Here you go. That's your monthly open. So the price is still around the monthly open. What it did, this, you can go on X and you will find this is where exactly I posted for you. So it's a nightmare if you're not going to be banking profits and you will just like really try to swing these kind of setups, it's a disaster. So for us, no way, like let's say to play this. The other setup that it played like really beautifully with us, like it was maybe the best setup that we played it in the way how exactly it formed, because the setup came to us Monday. We got the sweep on Monday, price moved to the upper side, simple play into this range, Asia high, Asia low, the sweep, nice formation on the candles, clean short trap that trapped at around these levels. You squeeze them the first time, you trade it toward the mid range, push to the upper side, keep pushing to the upper side. I had this area that it's already identified for us for some kind of levels that I would like really to trade toward it, but it played in a very, very beautiful way as a play in terms of risk to reward. I really don't care again about like what's the risk to reward. I'm trying again to show you what are the main setups that I would really like to play it. And yeah, that's like let's say something to take into consideration when it's coming to display. The last play that also I dropped it for you guys. It was on X where I identified for you the ranges for Zcash, and the play also like let's say when you are looking at this when I updated you on this, it was exactly at around these levels. Started looking into Zcash. Honestly, it was still like let's say too early for me because I really wanted to see BTC and just wanted to see how the price is gonna, react at around these levels. Same thing. This is where exactly we started looking into Zcash. We grabbed ourselves few pips toward the mid range. Once a rejection happened, get out. End of the week, Friday. You don't have to trade. Just bank your profits and call it for a day, and that's all. And we see next week how exactly it's gonna play out. But that's your Asia low. That's your Asia high. I do really like to trade this area. And if the price is going to shift for me, as an example, into Monday, let's assume that this will be the play that you would be looking at it. It's going to also play with you in some kind of a place. Sometimes you are getting really the range to be too tight and too small. And this is something that I would love really to trade it and get the benefits from it. Because if it's gonna shift, usually you'd be expecting some kind of moves that it might happen for you for 2 to 3 days, like let's say to the upper side. And if I want, like let's say, to give you some better things, like let's say to look at it, we'll be taking you like let's say to the S&P, but I need to go to S&P. We can go to the mini so we can put it fully. And the range for us, like let's say this week, it wasn't really much, We played by the end, shifted to the upper side. But for me, the play was exactly at around these levels on the S&P. Um, it happened by last week. It wasn't this week. So we got ourselves here. This is the play exactly. That's your Asia low. That's your Asia high on Monday. Sweep to the upper side, sweep to the downside, but you can see the range, how small it is and how tight it is. Sweep upper side, sweep downside, price, acceptance into Monday. That's the play that, mainly like we would like really to filter this kind of range when the range is small and tight. It depends on you how exactly you study the asset and you understand it. And like if the range is small, like where exactly you'd be hitting. But just remember also the momentum for the S&P for me still also with the previous weekly closing and all these kind of things. It was looking fine to continue to the upper side. Still in a momentum, also in a high time frame. The monthly it's looking fine. Still, it might push to the upper side and it might continue to the upper side. The point from here, as I told you, like the more that you dig into, like let's say one specific area and you start just looking into this, you will start just like, you will start just like playing this in a better way. And again, it's not something like let's say that you will be considering it that this is like this is really a unique I mean these are candles, so it's on the chart, like I'm not really bringing anything, but again, the more that you study the behavior, the more that you will find more observations into this, where you would like to play such like let's say a behavior. The more that you start filtering these ranges on Monday when it's formed, which kind of asset that I want to trade, which kind of asset that I want to trade. Why, as an example, last week I spoke to you about Nikkei and I spoke about JPY USD. That's again more of studying the asset itself, like me knowing where exactly we are standing on the asset. Why it's been a while that I'm talking to you about, like, let's say Asia, about US oil. And yeah, US oil started just now, but it's going to be my main focus, like, let's say into next into next uh, into next week. Nat gas, same thing. Like let's say that I spoke to you long time ago about it, and then again, just like the moment that the asset is gonna start trending, that would be even much better for me. Like let's say to flow into this, but by that time, I might think about like keeping some of the trade that it's open, or maybe to start looking for some kind of swing opportunities, but away from this play, away from this strategy. But the point here, when you don't like really have that much of a movement, these two levels, just think if you will think about it, it's still like let's say you would have like let's say your weekly open as a point, and you are just like forming some kind or taking some kind of a range around it, and then you play this, and if you manage like let's say to get the observations properly, and you manage like let's say to do your analysis properly into this, I think like you just like really get something behind it. I'm trying really to keep things like let's say into some like let's say major observations for now for you guys. If as an example I would be playing this early into Monday, I would really like let's say pay attention for a few things, because this is for me, it's an intra week, right? So I might carry the trade for 2 to 3 days, And for that time, I really don't want to see like let's say 1 hour closing above it. Is if I'm looking for the like let's say, I'm looking for the short. I don't want really like let's say to see like let's say 1 hour closing or 4 hours closing above it, because in that time, maybe I'm getting invalidated on the idea. So if as an example this was for us here, let's say Asia high and Asia low, if you will be trading it just like thinking about the 5 minutes time frame, it's not gonna work with you. 15 minutes time frame, it's not gonna work with you. You need just like to flip between the time frames. And the idea behind it here is like again looking into this. So here the point from all of this is that's AJ high, that's AJ low. If you are looking at the 15 minutes time frame, and if you will be really like, let's say, looking into this, oh, we swept it. Let me short and let me use like, let's say, tight stop losses. Fine. No, it's fine. You need to consider that still, like, let's say there is still New York, like, let's say, to play with it. But the idea here is just like really to give your trade a little bit of space. Why? Because for me here, the point was like, I just don't want to see acceptance above this. And still, it's too early into the week. And from there also, let's assume that you didn't catch the trade from the top, and you don't want really all the time, like let's say, to catch the trade for the top. There are multiple things that I also do pay attention to, that also within Monday, where exactly they are spending most of the time. If they are started spending most of the time under the mid range, and during the week that's still under the mid range, then in that time still there is no real acceptance, like toward like let's say higher levels. They don't want to leave the range, and still the pressure is to the downside. There are also a lot of things that you can use it when it's coming to the play, that you might use some pivot levels, in a way or another. You might get yourself like let's say previous week high, and the whole idea of just looking at this, or maybe previous month high also, just looking at it as just like these two levels, you will see like let's say still the gold, like let's say it's trading into this, but it's also seeing some nice sell pressure from these levels, so that's something all the time, like just to think about it, and just to you know to factor it when you are trading into these kind of plays. Now, time by time, we're gonna start talking about like we're gonna start talking about like we're gonna start talking about like areas that you might trade to it. But to be honest with you guys, like for me, things are, if as an example we formed the range into Asia fully, and then within other sessions we started shifting to the downside, and we continued to the downside, and we left this area that it's unswept at all. For me, at some stage, I would be trading toward this area, no matter what. At some stage, when I see like let's say opportunity, then and these kind of things, at some stage I do trade toward it. I'm not talking about altcoins. I'm talking about like normal assets usually. We're not talking about altcoins. So yeah, that's just something when for me, like let's say I do pay attention, like let's say to these levels a lot. I do really like to trade them. I do feel comfortable trading them. There are, specific things that I spoke to you about it, where we are spending the time. Are we spending the time in the mid range, in the bottom range? And you can apply also these small tweaks, like really on a daily basis. Um, if you will be looking as an example for today, let's say, here you go. So we will go here, and from the first or the early of like Asia. So you got yourself here Friday, and you got yourself this to be your Asia low. Sorry. And this to be your Asia high. And then from here, you already broke, like, let's say to the downside. Was this Asia? No, it was London. Price mainly is trading, like, let's say, like away from Asia, and like losing also major pivot levels. You got this sweep from yesterday. You swept also this rejection, move to the upper side during the day itself. The more that you started, like, let's say, shifting away from the open, shifting away from, like, let's say, especially after, like, let's say, making major moves, right? So the whole idea that you wouldn't be thinking about this move, that it's going to sustain to be a swing trade, you would be expecting the reversals to happen at some stage during the week. So the price, like during the week, all of it, most of it, moved to the upper side. It's just like the price turning back to a specific point, and that's the whole thing. We just like, pressed on Friday. You shorted this, you shorted, we didn't short it, then it's absolutely fine. To be honest with you, we were waiting for some kind of a move that it might happen here, or maybe even a little bit even to the downside to see, like, let's say the price action from here. Sorry, I'm using this one. And then, yeah, the price is to come and to start seeing if we're gonna get, like, let's say, some kind of a sweeps, then the reaction, then a move to the upper side, looking into some kind of shorts here, and then roll to the downside. We will see, but that would be, once we're gonna close today, we might see if there is really any opportunity that it's gonna appear within Sunday, I would say, more than Saturday. And upon that, we can take it from there. I tried really, like, let's say, to summarize everything for you in this way. I hope really this will give you a better clarification on how usually, like, let's say, I do look into things step by step. I'm gonna start just digging a little bit, into adding few tips for you guys. Education, it's always there, guys. There is nothing really, special and unique that any of us, like, let's say, came up with it, or just like, I'm trading, this is my strategy. I mean, by the end, it's all there. It's all about unique observations that you might have it. By the end, you just like, you are using candles on the chart, so it's not really something special. It's just the observation that you do have it. And maybe my observations, it works in this way. Someone's observations, it works in other way. But you need just like to find yourself, like what kind of setups that you would really like. Is it something that you are interested in it when it's coming to intra-week trades? Is it something you are interested in it that no, I want just like, let's say, to scalp because I don't want to keep money on the table. I can't sleep while a position open. Yeah, fine. There are other things that you might look into it for, like, let's say, quick scalps. That's also valid. And it moves, like, let's say, it depends on really your, like, let's say, personality on how you want to take things forward. For me, somehow something in the middle will always have some kind of a balance, not like, let's say, something as a major swing, not something as like, a quick trade, and just like you need to be on the chart like in specific time on, like, let's say, oh, if I'm not gonna catch the move, I'm not gonna catch the move. You still have like, enough time, like, let's say, to trade these kind of things. These are, like, let's say, again, the major points that I'm looking at it, and I would like really, like, let's say, to trade it in general. That's, I would say, one of my favorite plays that I always look at it, and I would just like, um I studied a lot, like, let's say, when it's coming to Asia's. For me, Asia sessions on Monday is like the bias and the direction that you can get it for the rest of the week. So that's how we play it. You know, Sometimes it gets you the best trades, sometimes it gets you 1 to 3, sometimes it gets you 1 to 5. It doesn't matter by the end, as long as you just like manage to get really good entries, and to have like some kind of a little bit of practice and exercise when it's coming to the executions. We'll talk more later on, like, let's say, into what kind of candles you can look at it. But yeah, we just like, I would keep this just as light as possible when it's coming, like, let's say, to this educational part. I'm gonna start again, going back to add for you some of these educational things other than, like, let's say, the weekly plans and the monthly plans. You see me, like, let's say that it's been, I would say, 3 4 weeks that I'm just like, pushing you guys, or I'm not pushing. There's nothing to push you. It's up to you how you want to trade it. But I'm just like, keep reminding you that for me it's just like an intra-week. It's just like that's what I see on Bitcoin. I don't really see any kind of swings or anything there. Like let's say for me, like let's say to get an entry from somewhere here and then to find the trade after like let's say 4 or 5 days, that it's literally 1% away from my entry. Like with all my respect, I'm gonna check it out and I'm gonna close it after that. After it moved 5-6% in my favor. So just try to be not conservative. Try to focus on catching part of the moves, not the whole moves. I promise you, if you will think about it, price moved from 125 all the way to 80, and it moved in total 35%, but it moved in stages. It didn't move one time. You can see it. It didn't move one time. It moved in stages. So also, when you are trading to the downside, yeah, you might catch yourself a nice swing from the upper side because it's just like a major kind of a reversal, put it into a deviation, put it in anything, and then it lost it, back retest continuation, fine. That's a nice swing. But also it played in multiple ways. All right. So that's just something to take into consideration and to look at it. And you would be ending up like let's say with the same exact uh, results. Some of them you need just to bank it. Don't flip your intra week to be a swing trade. It's not gonna work with you at all. And as I said, some of the plays it's gonna play really in a nice way. You know, some of them like you would really enjoy looking at it. Like let's say when it plays out, and some others no, it's not gonna happen. That's how the market it goes. That's how exactly the market it plays out. So yeah, that's all, guys, from my side. I wish you all an amazing weekend. We'll catch up with you most probably on Sunday with the new weekly review. Wish you all the best and cheers. Bye bye.